You think you know what these celebrities do for a living, but you really, truly don't. Rihanna's fans are still waiting on an album while she quietly became a billionaire, and she's just the beginning. Every name on this list is going to hit you the exact same way. Bigger names, bigger money, and a hustle you never saw coming. Right now, in 2026, Rihanna's fans are still refreshing their playlists waiting on a follow-up to Anti, an album she dropped back in 2016. And while everyone's been watching the streams, Rihanna's been doing something else entirely. She co-founded Fenty Beauty in 2017 with LVMH, launched it with 40 foundation shades when the industry standard was barely half that, and watched it pull in $100 million in its first 40 days alone. By the time most people even registered that she had a beauty brand, it had already crossed $1 billion valuation. Her music income, streaming royalties, catalog, all of it does not come close to touching what the cosmetics empire generates. The kicker? Her 2023 Super Bowl halftime performance, watched by 118 million people, earned her roughly $97,000 in streaming royalties. Fenty Beauty generates that before lunch. While the world was still debating Dr. Dre's discography, arguing about 2001, ranking his production credits, treating him like a studio legend, Dre was quietly building something that had nothing to do with a mixing board. He co-founded Beats Electronics with Jimmy Iovine in 2006, starting from a single complaint about cheap earbuds. By 2013, Beats controlled roughly 70% of the premium headphone market. And then Apple came calling. The acquisition closed at $3 billion, still the largest deal in Apple's history, and in 2014 alone, Forbes confirmed Dre earned $620 million, the highest single-year income any musician has ever recorded. 30 years of producing some of the most influential albums in hip-hop history built his music catalog to an estimated value of around $200 million. 6 years of building a headphone company generated more than 3 times that from a single exit. The math on that is genuinely hard to sit with. Then there's Jay-Z, who took that same blueprint and ran it through an entirely different set of industries. Most people can name his albums. Almost nobody can name his full portfolio. Cognac, champagne, fine art, a streaming platform, a sports agency, real estate. His billion didn't come from rap royalties, it came from a collection of businesses that most fans couldn't have listed if you gave them 10 guesses. Jay-Z reached billionaire status by owning equity across categories that had nothing to do with a microphone. And by the time Forbes put the number on paper, the money had already been made for years. And then there's Tyler Perry, and this is where the story really escalates. Hollywood spent the better part of 2 decades underestimating him. The studios passed, the critics dismissed him, and the industry kept him at arm's length. So Perry did something almost no one in entertainment has ever pulled off. He built his own. He constructed Tyler Perry Studios from the ground up in Atlanta on a former military base. And he owns the entire lot outright. No landlord, no studio executive with veto power, just his name on the deed. While Hollywood was still debating whether his work deserved a seat at the table, his net worth climbed past $1 billion, built not on a single blockbuster or a franchise deal, but on volume, ownership, and the kind of relentless output that comes from someone who knows no one is going to hand him anything. 4 names, 4 completely different industries, and every single one of them became a billionaire while the public was looking somewhere else entirely. The next ones are going to completely break your brain because some of them you'd never even think to look up. Out of Rihanna, Dre, Jay-Z, and Tyler Perry, whose billion-dollar move shocked you the most? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because the names coming up next somehow top all 4 of them. Kim Kardashian spent a decade being treated like a punchline. Reality TV, tabloids, the whole circus, while she was building a shapewear company that Goldman Sachs just valued at $5 billion. That's not a typo. Skims secured $225 million in fresh funding led by Goldman Sachs alternatives, landing a $5 billion valuation for a brand that did not even exist until 2019. Kardashian retains the largest ownership stake in Skims, with Forbes estimating her net worth at $1.7 billion, largely driven by her 35% stake in the company. Let that land for a second. The woman every magazine cover reduced to a selfie and a scandal built a fashion brand worth more than most legacy retailers who've been in business for a century. And she did it while people were still laughing. The kicker? Skims neared $1 billion in annual net sales just 6 years after its 2019 launch, which means the company went from zero to a $1 billion revenue run rate in less time than it takes most startups to find a second investor. Paul McCartney isn't a surprise business pivot. It's something quieter and almost more impressive. Most people think of McCartney as a rock legend, a Beatle, the guy who wrote Yesterday. What they don't think of is a billionaire. McCartney has an estimated net worth of around $1.3 billion in 2026, built through songwriting royalties, touring, publishing rights, licensing deals, real estate, and his hugely valuable music company, MPL Communications. Here's the part that genuinely stops you cold. The songs powering that fortune were mostly written before most of his fans were even born. His MPL Communications company owns publishing rights to thousands of songs, including works by Buddy Holly, Carl Perkins, and numerous contemporary artists, purchased strategically when catalog values were lower. He lost the Beatles catalog to Michael Jackson in the 80s, a business wound that would have broken most people, and responded by quietly buying up everyone else's catalog instead. According to Billboard, McCartney's tours have crossed $1 billion in total ticket sales over his lifetime. That's $1 billion just from live tickets. The royalties are on top of that. The publishing empire is on top of that. The man has been printing money in slow motion for 60 years and almost nobody talks about it. Magic Johnson took a completely different path, and this one rewires the entire conversation about what an athlete's wealth actually comes from. Most people know him as a Lakers legend, 5 championships, one of the greatest point guards ever to play. What they don't know is that his NBA earnings, massive as they were, don't come close to his actual net worth. Johnson pivoted his fame into a door opener for something bigger. He became a venture capitalist and business operator. Movie theaters, Starbucks franchises, private equity investments, real estate development across urban markets. His business empire generates wealth that dwarfs his playing career by orders of magnitude. The kicker? He used his celebrity to get into rooms where the real money lives, then stayed there by actually understanding the business. His NBA earnings built his name. His business portfolio built his billion. And then there's Kylie Jenner, and this is the one that completely breaks the pattern. Because Kylie wasn't a musician, she wasn't an actor, she wasn't even really famous for a skill. She was famous for being famous, which is supposedly the least bankable thing in the world. And yet Kylie Cosmetics launched in 2015 essentially from a single Instagram post about lip kits, turned into a brand valued at over $1 billion within a few years. Her 2019 deal with Coty valued the brand at $1.2 billion, proving the financial might of influencer-led beauty. She was 21 years old. The entertainment press barely covered it as a business story. They covered it as a celebrity curiosity. Meanwhile, the actual business was doing 9-figure revenue. The category she chose, beauty, was one the celebrity world had always treated as a side hustle. Kylie treated it like a main event, and the numbers proved her right before anyone was ready to admit it. Here's what all of them have in common, and this is the thing that actually matters. Every single one of these people used their celebrity as a door opener, not a destination. The fame got them in the room, the business kept them there. Kim's reality TV audience didn't buy Skims because they watched Keeping Up. They bought it because the product worked. McCartney's fans don't stream Let It Be because he's famous. The song is simply that good, and he was smart enough to build ownership around it. Magic's basketball legacy didn't hand him $1 billion. He built a portfolio that stood on its own. Kylie's followers didn't hand her $1 billion. She built a supply chain, a product, and a brand that stood on its own. If any of these surprised you, drop their name in the comments. I want to know which one hit hardest. Subscribe for more and watch this one next. It goes even deeper.